There is no guarantee for success, but there are ways to get closer to it when you do the right things. Who you surround yourself with is just as important as what you do. Finding the right people, the right classes, the right activities, and taking the right tests are all decisions that shape your future. Find out more today on Destination University with Dr. Cynthia Colon. Dr. Colon and her guests will give you the tips you need, whether you're a student, parent, or educator. Now, here is your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon.
You're listening to Destination University, a podcast for college-bound teens and the parents, mentors, and educators who support them. If that is you, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. If you've ever been curious as to how the waitlist works in college admissions, this episode is for you. If you or your child is a few months away from applying, or maybe about a year away from applying to college, and that you want to avoid the waitlist, well, this show is definitely for you. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon, TEDx speaker, college admissions strategist, and the author of the book, Be Committed, Get Admitted. Welcome to Destination University. We help high school families successfully navigate the college admission process by helping students create an action plan, become interesting applicants, and write compelling essays that increase acceptance letters. Okay, so I'm going to just pause here because you can tell in my voice I'm feeling under the weather. I have been for a few days. I sound worse than I actually feel, so not to worry. I'm doing just fine. But I have promised you all that I would do 3 episodes per week in season 9. So we're in season 9, and I am going to do what I said I was going to do. So yes, I am doing this, and today we're going to talk about the waitlist, so just no worries, hold tight. I want to just say to you, though, if you have not downloaded my new free download, it is called 4 Questions Admission Officers Ask When Deciding Who to Admit or Reject. It's really a great PDF that gives you real insider's information. It's probably my best piece of giveaway work for many years now, so I haven't updated really my freebie until now. So drcynthiacolon.com/admit. Okay, there you go. All right. So let's get started with this episode. Every week, if you catch my post on Tuesdays, we highlight a tale from the book. The book is called Be Committed, Get Admitted, and it's in English and Spanish. You can go becommittedgetadmitted.com and it'll take you to the Amazon web link. But you can also get it in Spanish. So this week, the tale that's highlighted is number 26. And the tale is found on page 158 in the book. And it's called April Showers Sometimes Bring May Flowers. And this tale really highlights 2 students that were waitlisted at their dream college. Their names are William and Colette in the book. That's their name in the book. So I just want you to remember these stories were based on real life students, but their names were changed, of course. Now, this particular tale is one from back my days, working in admissions and working as a college counselor. So I can just tell you, I don't know how much I say, in the book and like how much detail I go into, but the student William is based on a student that was waitlisted at Vassar, and the student Colette is based on a student that was waitlisted she was a student of mine at Marymount High School. Okay, so let me just give you like a little bit of a recap. Now, actually, let me share my screen, because if you haven't, we offer a free download. I don't publicize it too much, but we offer a free download of the book itself. A full download. So if you can see my screen now, forgive me for not going live today. I know I usually do on Thursdays, but you guys, you hear my voice. So like, imagine how I look. Okay. So the screen right here, it reminds you that we're in chapter 7, page 158. And if you scan that QR code, you can actually get a free download of English or Spanish. So I take advantage of that. Again, I don't publicize it too often and too much. Okay. So you can get the book and you can follow along if you want to do that. That's a great idea. But here's the backstory. So William, he was an applicant at Vassar, and now he was an alum I mean, his his parents are alumni of Wellesley, an all-women's college, and Brown University. Well, Brown, for Vassar, was always like, if someone turned us down, then most likely they went up the totem pole on the food chain and chose Brown. Okay. And look, I mean, we're all not delusional. Like, there's a food chain, right? Like in everything in life. And so we often lost out to students because they chose Brown. Okay. So this particular applicant, when we read the applicant, I read that he is a legacy student at these two colleges. And obviously he's not going to go to Wellesley. So the alternative was he was going to go to Brown if he got in. And he was very qualified. So we thought, he's probably going to get into Brown because he's a legacy there and he's perfectly qualified. And we're probably going to lose out to him and he's going to go to Brown. So we waitlisted him. Now, that's not the only reason we waitlisted him. He also didn't really seem to be like a perfect fit for Vassar. So we found it kind of odd that he would apply. He kind of wanted economics. He was sort of like, we almost kind of read it like, this is the kid is going to, graduate from college and go to Wall Street or something like that, work on Wall Street. So it wasn't perfectly a good fit for us. So we took a pass and we took a wait list. Okay, fine. All right. I'm going to give you the background story for Colette. Colette she was tops at Marymount. She was maybe the number 1 or the number 2 student at Marymount. Now we say we don't rank, but basically, she was everything. She was very involved. She was running the school practically. And she was also a writer. She worked, and she might have been the editor-in-chief of the newspaper and the literary magazine. She is like, she was going to be a writer. She was going to be an English major and, whatever, go on to probably write novels. Who knows? Well, she was waitlisted at Columbia University, which has a great writing program. So anyway, fast forward, you can read the sort of more of the details in the book. But what happens is when students are waitlisted, you have a choice if you want to stay on the wait list or not. That's the first thing. And the second thing is you're basically waiting to see who else that was already admitted if anyone says no. Not if anyone says no, but to give you the example at Vassar, we were always trying to bring in a freshman class of 630, if I remember correctly, 630, 640, but I remember 630. So we would watch the days go by in April and see how many checks we would receive saying, yes, I want to come, here's my deposit. And as we got closer to May 1st, which was the final day for everybody, we would then count up, like, you kept your tally. And so if you were short, if 620 students had said yes, that meant that we had 10 spots available. But if on a year we had 629 say yes, then we only had 1 spot available. I think there was one year I was there that actually more than 630 said yes. So we had no spaces available off the wait list. So that's the reality. Okay. So you have to say, yes, I want to stay on the wait list. And then you have to wait to see if there's even any space after May 1st. Okay. Now, the second part of that is on our end, the admission office. Once May 1st rolls around and then we go into May 2nd, what we're looking at, and let me hang on. Okay, I had to clear my throat. Sorry. What we're looking at is, okay, of everybody that said yes, of the 620 students that said yes, where are they from? Are there any states that we're missing? What's the gender, balance? Like, we're always trying to be 50-50. We were never going to quite get there with Vassar, but what's the gender breakdown? Like, we would look at all these different things. And when I say diversity, I know, a lot of people always say, oh, you're looking at racial diversity. No, it's like geographic diversity. You'd be surprised. Majors, we'd look at like, okay, do we have everybody, in like 3 majors, and we need to diversify the majors. So then it's a matter of, okay, do we have a space, for you? Is there a space at all? And then what are we looking for? And then on top of that, there are 7 of us in the office, 7 or 8. No, I think there were 7 of us admission officers, from the dean all the way down. So each of us also has our favorite student that we're going to vie for. Like, we're like, hey, pick my kid. So anyway, what William did not only did he say, I want to stay on the wait list, but he wrote a letter and explaining why Vassar was his first choice. Now, I won't go, I mean, I'll give you some details, but you can read the tale in the book. But what he basically said was he made a compelling case for why it's his first choice. And that yes, he was a football player and in economics and it's seemingly not completely fit. But what he didn't say in his original application was all his love for like being a performing art person and being on stage in the theater. And that's what he loved. And he wanted to be part of Powerhouse, which is this program that happens in the summer, and all of these things that he went on to say. And it was like, oh, why didn't you say that before? So anyway, at the end of the day, I'll just cut to the chase. Basically, as a young male, we were always probably more likely looking for men than women, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, William, basically won the lotto. He got a call. And what happens is that you'll get a call. Well, I mean, if private schools, what we would do is we would call and say, hey, basically, hello, I'm Ed McMahon. I'm here with your big ticket. You guys, some of you are too young to even know what I'm talking about, but the big, you're the big winner. And so William said yes. And so he fought for himself. He advocated for himself. He took life and matters into his own hands, and boom, he won a spot. Okay. Now, a little bit of the reverse is true for Colette. And basically, Colette reminds me a lot of probably the way I would feel. Again, I started by saying I'm not a fan of the waitlist. So Colette, while she was, I guess, happy that she got a waitlist, and I had said to her, oh my gosh, this is a big win. I mean, a waitlist from Columbia, blah, blah, blah. But by that time, you feel, I say you, but some students just feel completely rejected, offended, or disrespected, or whatever you want to say. You feel dissed. And some youngsters can take that better than others. And Colette, in many ways, is how I would have felt. Like I would have been like, hey, like forget you. Like I don't need you. I have these other 5, 8 schools that want me really badly, and I'm going to choose one of them. So that's kind of the attitude that she took. She did not choose to pursue the waitlist. She might have said she would stay on the waitlist, but she didn't actively pursue it. And I told her, I'm happy to support you. You can write a letter, blah, blah. She just didn't. At the end of the day, she ended up choosing a school that gave her like a full ride scholarship. Like she was a top, like a big fish in a smaller pond. So it was a huge difference, a huge difference in terms of her choice of college had she been admitted to Columbia and chosen that. But that's how she felt. And that was her prerogative, to be honest with you. And I respect it either way. Again, for me, I think I would do similar things. I don't know. I was never in that position, but I think I would do the same thing. So anyway, what I want to share with you is that since writing the book, that's one of the original tales. Some of the ones in the new book, Be Committed, Get Them, are updated and they're new. But that one is, from back in the day. And that's what happened. So since writing the book, I'm going to give you an example of two kids that have been taken off the wait list, one for Boston College and then one for UCLA. So the one for Boston College is one of my favorite stories. And I'm guessing that if I asked her, I bet she would let me use her name, but I'm not going to use her name. Hang on one second again. So what happened was this was a family that knew me through another family. And so the mom called and said, my daughter's been waitlisted at her dream school, and can you help us? And so we did a few things. She was waitlisted. No, she was deferred, and then she was waitlisted. So it was a long and painful process. But once there were a couple things we did. Once I helped her revise and send a new essay when she was deferred. And then I had her really reach out to the person that she knew was sort of in charge of her file. And I just said, you got to kind of send an email or, just remind them that this is really your first choice. So she did a few things a few tips that I had given her to do in the meantime while she was waiting for her letter. And then when she was waitlisted, it was completely devastating. Now, again, for me, if you deferred me at early decision and then you waitlisted me, I'm thinking, oh, okay, forget it. I'm done. Well, you guys, it happened to be the year of COVID. Now, you could not have predicted this. So she was someone who was always just reminding her, the people at Boston College in the admission office that she was very interested. So during the month of April, or after she was waitlisted, late March, she just kept kind of emailing and just saying, hey, please think of me if there's I'm still interested. I'm still want to go. This is still my first choice. And then, as you guys know, the world changed. And several students that were going to be freshmen in college said no to college, not just to Boston College, but to all across the country. So Boston College called this student before May 1st because they knew that they were already short and they were going to need to fill more spots. So because she was always there saying, hey, I really am interested. I really want to go. I really want to do this. And always just sort of not being like she wasn't being a nag, but she just, she followed what I told her to do. She was strategic and she wasn't too much of a nag, but just like saying, hey, kind of like knocking on the door. Hey, don't forget me. Hey, don't forget me. So you better believe once they had spots, she was one of the first people to call because they knew as soon as they call her that she would say yes. Okay. So that's my Boston College story. I love her, love the family, love everything about that. So happy for her. Now, another student of mine, California student, and the UC system started using waitlist, having a waitlist. Not that long ago, but now I guess probably I'm saying not that long ago, but maybe now it's been 5 years, maybe even more. But they started using the waitlist, and so what happens is, just like anything, remember I said that we often at Vassar would lose kids to Brown. So same is true in the UC system, right? So the California students, most of them apply to, several UCs. And so if you get admitted to like all of the UCs you apply to, well, you're only going to pick one. So, basically, I don't know exactly who UCLA loses their students to, but I'm guessing they lose students to, like a Stanford or some of the Ivies or something like that, or, maybe USC or whatever. So I don't know. They lose kids somewhere, and then Cal loses kids to somewhere. And then, if a student gets admitted to UCLA and in another UC, they're very likely to pick UCLA, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how it works, the totem pole situation. I don't want to sort of name schools, but you get what I'm saying. So what happens is once other schools, like the moment that Vassar takes someone from their wait list, well, that person had already deposited somewhere. So that other school now has someone that says, hi, I'm sorry, but I've changed my mind. I'm now going to go to Vassar. So now you have a space. So there's like kind of like a domino effect that happens. So in this particular year that my student from California got admitted to UCLA, one, he said, yes, I want to stay on the wait list. And two, he sent a letter. Now, I don't know if they asked for a letter or what, but somehow he had an email of someone he could send an email to and just said, this is really my first choice. This is why, blah, blah, blah. He gave a story. I read it. It was very compelling. So at a UCLA, I am not here to say that for sure I know that they read these letters. I don't know that for sure. Because I think for the most part, they don't even ask for letters. So I'm not sure that this would always work. But what I'm saying is this student hung on. I mean, he just hung on to hope against all hope because he was not taken off the wait list until I want to say it might have been early June, late May, maybe, but it was late May at least, if not early June. So that's just proof that the wait list, it does happen. People do get off the wait list. And so if you just hang in there sometimes long enough, you could get a number. You can, you can get a phone call or an email that says, hey, you just won the lotto. So anyway, my apologies. I think this podcast was a little longer than I expected it to be, but also I'm just not feeling very well. So thanks for hanging with me, because here's the truth that I want you all to hear is that you've got to go all in from the beginning, right? So for William, like he kind of held back a little bit and in his regular application, but then he gave it to us, with that compelling letter of saying, I want to get off the wait list. This really is my first choice, and this is why. With Colette, she probably could have gone a little bit more full force, like in her original application, and she didn't. And then she didn't want to pursue it, so that's her prerogative. And then in the case of the student that got into UCLA, it's a he, and he stuck with it, and he did all the work. Sort of, at a big public school, it's hard to sort of know if any of that is going to work, but for him, it did work, and so take what you can from that. And then with the Boston College girl, like that's a small enough school that they really do know the applicants. So if you can just sort of build a relationship with the person, someone in the office that is familiar with your school or whatever, that also can work as well. Okay. I like to just say what Coach Vince always gives advice. His advice is this: the first time a college hears from you should not be when you submit your application. So let that sink in. All right. Okay, that's all I have for you today, my friends. Thank you for tuning in to Destination University. I'm Dr. Cynthia Colon, your happy success expert. If this episode has in any way helped, fueled, or inspired you, please share this episode with 3 people in the next 30 minutes. Thanks for listening. You can subscribe at Destination University wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, leave us a review because it helps other families that are like you find us. Yeah, that's how it works. You're helping to grow the community of informed families across the country. So thank you for joining the movement. If you have not binge listened to our previous seasons, you need to do it because we're in our ninth season. And you want to, if you're close to going through this process with your child, you definitely just want to just dive in and just soak in every episode possible. I would start with episode 1. That's where I interview my mom, and everybody loves her. So if you found value today, please share this episode with 3 families in the next 30 minutes. I'll be sure to see you next week, same time, same place. Hopefully I'll have my voice back. Until then, wherever you are, may you have a happy and sunny day. Bye for now. Here's the truth. For nearly 30 years, I have worked at elite private colleges and/or private high schools. I know what well-resourced families do to ensure college success, and I can tell you, if your child is enrolled at a public or religious high school, chances are she or he is already 5 steps behind. However, today is your lucky day. To get you ahead of your private school peers, I have a gift for you. I'm revealing the exact admission committee process we used at Vassar. It's all in my new guide, 4 questions admission officers ask when deciding who to admit or reject. You can go to drcynthiacolon.com/admit to get your copy. I share the 4 questions I used in the 12 minutes I had to review the entire application. If you've ever wondered what admission officers are looking for and how decisions are actually made, you're not alone. Take action now to get 5 steps ahead and begin increasing those acceptance letters. Again, that's Dr. Cynthia Colon, drcynthiacolon.com/admit. That is all I have for you today, my friends. Thank you for tuning in to Destination University. I'm Dr. Cynthia Colon. If this episode has in any way helped, fueled, or inspired you, please share this episode with 3 people in the next 30 minutes. You can subscribe to Destination University wherever you get your podcast. And while you're there, leave us a review. It sure does help a lot. By subscribing and reviewing, you help to grow the community of informed families across the nation. And if you haven't binge listened to our previous seasons, do it. With each episode, you'll learn a new tip, trick, or strategy for success. Start with episode 1, the one word every parent should remove. You'll learn my mom's secret to ensuring college success for her daughters. And once again, if you found value today, please share this episode with 3 families in the next 30 minutes. I'll be sure to see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, wherever you are, may you have a happy and sunny day. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening this week to Destination University. Be sure to join Dr. Cynthia Colon again and get one step closer to your success.